Up until this week, Jeffrey Epstein probably thought he'd gotten away with it for the most part, but not today. With federal prosecutors on Monday unsealing new sex trafficking charges against Jeffrey Epstein, alleging the politically connected multimillionaire abused dozens of female minors at his Manhattan and Palm Beach, Florida homes, and enlisted his victims to expand a network of possible targets. Every word of that sentence is absolutely horrible. Yeah. Now, we're not gonna go super in depth into the charges because we have already talked about him and the connections with Acosta and the Trump administration and the sweetheart deal that they got. We're gonna go over a little bit. We just wanna update you on the new stuff. So Epstein had previously pleaded guilty to Florida state charges of soliciting prostitution to resolve allegations he molested dozens of girls. That arrangement has been widely criticized, including on this show, as too lenient. As part of the deal, he had to spend just more than a year in jail and was allowed to leave daily for work, and he never faced any federal exposure. And I personally think the sort of cool jail where you can leave for as long as you want isn't really jail, it's just not the nicest apartment you could live in. But that's the deal he got. Now, Epstein is 66 years old, a financier who once counted among his friends President Trump and former President Bill Clinton. That's a great group of guys he got there. And the way that Donald Trump comes into this is, there's a couple different aspects. One is his personal friendship and past quotes about Epstein, with him once saying in 2002, "I've known Jeff for 15 years, terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side," which is a really weird thing to say ever in any way, let alone about this guy who had this weird network and ring of sex solicitation and underage victims and human trafficking and all of that. There is a picture of them that's going around once again. Him and Melania, who's apparently having a very fun time, and Epstein and his current girlfriend, who randomly for Epstein was actually of age at that point. And interestingly as well, in 2017, Politico reported allegations that a woman claiming to have been part of a sex trafficking ring run by Epstein was recruited directly by Maxwell in 1999 from Mar-a-Lago, where the woman, who was then 15 years old, worked as a locker room attendant. Now, as we're filming this, more and more is being unsealed literally throughout today. And we're gonna have to find out what new charges they have. But apparently, the deal that he had in Florida was a deal specific to Florida, and it might not protect him now that New York is getting involved.
Right, and what happens when people get away with it, which is essentially what he did, he got away with it. It wasn't a deal, it wasn't a sentence that at all matched the crimes. And so when people get away with things, they continue to do them, it emboldens them. That's what happens, and that's what it appears did happen, and luckily, the attorneys in Florida, the prosecutors in Florida can't make a deal that has anything to do with New York.
Yeah, and so everything that we've talked about are just allegations. Everything we will talk about, just allegations. And I say that because he looks litigious.
He also,
he's friends with Trump. They probably sue pretty freely.
But it's important to know this is a registered sex offender.
Yes.
Everything is allegations. This is also a registered sex offender. And there's a lot of talk about like who else could be charged. And a lot of people being like, oh, it's possible some of your faves are gonna be this and this and this. Let me tell you, if one of my faves is a child molester, they're no longer my fave.
Who are these faves that might come up?
Like
exactly. T-Swift, I don't know who's. So here's the thing, when over the weekend, there were these rumblings that new charges were to come. A lot of Republicans were like, oh, he's tied in with Bill Clinton, so the left is gonna have to defend him. No, we have no, you are saying far more about yourself in that case than us. First of all, we weren't defending him before the new charges. We have no interest in defending him now. If Bill Clinton was involved, then set sail with Bill Clinton. He can go to jail too, for all I care. But Donald Trump, look, I don't want to engage any sort of political, like just wishing that like, oh, the guy I hate is gonna go down, but he's been involved in a weird partying sense with Epstein. He seems to have understood, even as far back as 2002, that Epstein was involved with some underage people. There is the weird connection to Mar-a-Lago that might have nothing to do with Trump, but could. And we know that Trump has had not just a weird obsession with his own daughter when she was younger, but he was barging into the beauty pageant changing rooms and things like that. He seemed to be willing to transgress in those senses at the very least, not to mention the constant allegations of sexual assault and sexual harassment.
I mean, Trump is on the record saying positive things about this man. He's also on the record saying he doesn't know this man. He's also in a picture with this man. I don't see anything regarding Trump happening with this. It's just, he's just been invincible. It shouldn't be, but I don't see anything happening.
What we do know though is if it does turn out that this stuff is true, we know where Donald Trump will come down on it, because Jules Szdaltsev on Twitter has unearthed an older, well probably, but he unearthed an old tweet by Trump about these people that abuse underage girls, saying that there's far too much leniency, it needs to be a quick trial and then the death penalty. We'll see if he sticks to that now that it's one of his former friends. Right. Anyway, lots more details to come. This is all super premature, but that's what's out there as of right now. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.